So I do have a question here from Dan asking, what is your favorite horror parody?
Oh, I'll let you go first on that one.
I don't know. I'm probably just going to say the mean one, just because
Yeah.
Eagle Entertainment might be watching.
Oh, you might be able to get some free DVDs.
I might be able to get another one, yeah.
Mm.
I'm actually not
I,
too
I've,
sure, Dan.
I've got one. I've got
Yeah.
one. And thank you, Dan, for the question. And apologies, people, if we haven't said hello and things like that. We will try and get to you where we can. But yeah, with horror parody, the editor. So it was, oh god, it was one of my birthdays. We went to London with my brother and his wife Haley, and it was a fantastic time. And there was a shop. Somebody had posted on a YouTube video, so we went there. It's now unfortunately gone, which is such a shame. And they had like a basement, and they were selling import like American Blu-rays,
Yeah.
and I got Cannibal Holocaust. Even though, yeah, I was like unsure, but my sister-in-law was like, "Yeah, you gotta get it, you gotta get it." She goes, "You keep eyeing it up." I was like, "All right, fine," but I got the editor, and it was one of those films I just took a chance on, and I loved it because it was hilarious. But as I've watched more Jallo movies, it's even better now. Like, it's so much fun. There is a moment they literally rip right out of oh god, I think it's The Strange Vice of Mrs. Ward. So there's this weird scene where this guy takes someone out in the rain, and is like there's an intimate scene, and they do it, but like he starts rubbing mud across his face in the editor, and he's just like screaming, go ripping his cardigan open, and I was just like, this is like, it was such a spot on parody, and it's hilarious. It's got Udo Kier. I don't know if you're a fan of Udo Kier, but yeah,
I've watched
like
some stuff, yeah.
yeah, and it's like, it was such an underground kind of Canadian movie. Like, Scream Factory released it, so it is just like a Region One DVD, Region A Blu-ray. But I know Monster Pictures released it over here, so they might have released it over there for you guys. But yeah, it's one of those films nobody talks about, and any chance I get, I try and get people onto that one. So.
So Dan has also asked what our thoughts are on the scary movie series and the haunted house ones with Marlon Wayans.
Ooh. Did you want to take this one? Because I've been talking quite a lot, so.
No, no, well, I'm the host, so you're supposed to be talking. But yeah, I actually really do like the haunted house ones with Marlon Wayans. I think they kind of went back to the proper scary movie roots. I feel like after Scary Movie 3, it just really went downhill. There was no story to it. It was just a bunch of gags they put together with, oh, let's put a reference here and here and here. I feel like it was just didn't really gel as well as the first ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, haunted house movies. It was Paranormal Activity was the first one. Then the other one was more based on having Annabelle, who gets really obsessed with Marlon Wayne's character. I actually thought they were hilarious. But yeah, definitely probably the first two scary movies the most. Number 3 I do enjoy, but number two and 1 and 2, if I can talk, definitely enjoy more. Yourself, have you seen them? Have you seen the haunted house ones?
I haven't. I'm very kind of hit and miss with Marlon Wayans outside of the kind of after Scary Movie, because obviously he's kind of broken off and done his own thing. I do need to see those, so I will be making sure I watch them. But the Scary Movie franchise is where I'm at. I'm in love. Like you, the first two, cinematic genius. I do not kind of care. There's usually a gag or two I'm not a fan of, but I love their scattershot approach, that they just went for any and everything, and they really got the parodies kind of down.
Yeah.
Like yourself, I would say, like, I think I like Scary Movie 3 a little bit more than you. Scary Movie 4, trash. Throw it in the bin. And Scary Movie 5, yes, I have seen Scary Movie 5, is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. I just it's that weird thing of Jason Friedberg. Is it? It's Friedberg and Seltzer. So they kind of co-wrote the first Scary Movie because there's like 8 credited writers. So they were kind of one of the groups writing, and they're the ones that went on to do Date Movie, Epic Movie, Disaster Movie, Vampire Suck, and all that.
Yeah.
And the problem is that it's slapstick humor that isn't funny.
Yeah.
The timing to roll off, yeah, and repetitive gags, and that's where the parody movie's gone. Where you look at like things like Airplane and Naked Gun, they're great comedies that had very clever jokes that can work on maybe 1 or 2 layers. So, and that's gone. That's gone. Somebody was talking to me about it the other day about like parody movies, and I'm like, yeah, you just. And then with the state of the world, could you go and even make films like Airplane and Naked Gun again? And it's like, I don't know.
I don't think you could. Someone is going to have something to say. There's a friend of mine who every now and then he'll ask me, you know, if he puts something like this into a story, are people going to think that, you know, he's saying bad thing about women? If he does it the opposite way, is it going to seem like he's got too many men in his story? Like, what does he do? And I was like, just write it the way it works. People are going to complain anyway, just because they can, and just go with how it actually works. And as I said, if you watch something and you get offended and then you continue to watch it and get offended again, that's on you.
Yeah.
It was years ago. There was a I know I'm going on a tangent, but there was a New Year's Eve live like TV show that was on, and one of the hosts was incredibly drunk. Unfortunately, he has some issues, so there's things going on there. And a lady said she got offended that he was doing what he was doing, and then she continued to watch and was offended again. And then they spoke to the comedian Rodney Rude, if you've ever heard about him. He's a pretty rough comedian, which I don't think he could really... He still does shows, but obviously it's going to be for an older audience who actually appreciates him. Even he's like, well, she continued watching. It's her own fault she got offended. She had every opportunity to change the channel. It's on her. I've been talking about this with someone in the last couple of days. It's just... Yeah, if it's a choice to be offended by things.
Yeah, I think Ricky Gervais summed it up perfectly. You know, that kind of, because there was like a viral video of him talking about being offended, and you know, like it's obviously that it hits you, and I that's why like corporations like Netflix get a bad rap, and they should. But then they shouldn't as well. It's that grey area conversation you have with people. Like when I think it was a couple of years back, Jimmy Carr and Ricky Gervais had Netflix specials coming out, and the whole Netflix kind of like kind of workers were like, nah, we don't think this stuff should be put out. And they said, well, you can hand in your resignation if you like. They said, we're here to make content for everyone.
Yeah.
Just because you don't like it, and things like that should be applauded, especially now, because they know they're going to probably get a bad rap online for it. But it's like there are still people out there that would appreciate comedy like that. It's like, I think the beautiful thing about kind of Britain and Australia, you know, and I think that's why we get along so well, is we're very, very similar as kind of nations in that we've you know, we go through like absolute, like our history is rubbish basically, and we've always had those moments, like we make light of those darker moments, and that's how we've coped, that's how we survive. And I think when younger people don't understand that, that's kind of like, well, you shouldn't. And it's like, but that's a coping mechanism for people. It's like, that's not being disrespectful. And that's why I've always loved like people like Larry David, because I remember watching, there was a trailer for season 9 of Curb Your Enthusiasm, and he had Michael J. Fox on. And I can't remember exactly. It was either like he was, I think Michael J. Fox was walking down the street, and he was obviously, his Parkinson's was quite extreme at that point. And he was like bumped into Larry, and Larry turns around and says, dude, You had a whole sidewalk. What's the matter with you? And he just goes, Parkinson's. And then hearing Michael J. Fox in an interview talk about how liberating that was for him to, you know, have those kind of moments, you know. And I love shows like Curb Your Enthusiasm, where it's like, we're not picking on anybody, we're picking on everybody. Everybody's the kind of, you know, and it's that kind of approach to comedy that like, it gets me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I like how we've gone from that to like politically incorrect comedy, because I was going to like mention South Park, but South Park's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
I still think it's pretty much like on par with like its brilliant writing and just making fun of absolutely everyone and everything. Just because, you know, there are bad things happening in the world. We need to have a laugh at some things that just don't need to be that serious sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, look how successful that is, considering the content that they talk about and how they talk about it. It's like, there have been episodes where even I've gone, ooh, okay, Matt, like, but again, it's that scattershot approach to it, where they're not just going, right, you know, the kind of, we're going to pick on just one person, and it feels like bullying. It's that scattershot approach where it feels like we've noticed things and we're making a commentary on it in a very comedic way.
Yeah.